the Jeep Cherokee, a legend off-road. Before you go off-roading it, there's something you should check that no one mentions about, and that's your bump stops. Your rear bump stops bolt onto the frame here and are probably gone because they like to either break or wear off. And if you go without the rear bump stops, you'll bottom out your shocks, which could potentially damage the shocks or the mounts. More importantly than that, though, is your front bump stops. These are factory bump stops, and they're pretty squishy. They're pretty soft. As you can see, I don't have the coil spring in, and I've jacked up the axle till it's just about to barely hit the bump stop. And the interesting thing is that up in here, the upper control arm is dangerously close to the oil pan and the transmission cooler lines there. And you can even see right by that bolt for the oil pan that the oil pan has been contacted by the upper control arm. That was on an off-road adventure. Also, it can smash the transmission cooler lines. Other people have reported of this happening, and obviously it's happened right here. So this is with the axle not even in contact with the bump stop yet. You can see that it's really close, and if we were to go a little bit further, it could easily contact that. Okay, so now I've jacked up the axle at an angle for as if you were flexing, and we can see once again that we're just almost about to touch the bump stop. And now looking up here at the upper control arm, we can see that it's further over, and it's about trying to smash into the transmission cooler lines. So that is very bad news and a big mark against the Jeep Cherokee. In an off-road situation, you might have more than just a jack. Well, you should have more than just a jack. You're going to be hitting bumps, possibly accidentally doing jumps, maybe doing jumps on purpose. And it's pretty easy to have the axle be further up than this because it's at the bump stop. It's not even touching the bump stop. The bump stop's going to easily compress a good inch, and that upper control arm can wreak some havoc. If it hits the oil pan, it's really not as big of a deal, but if it hits and punctures those transmission cooler lines, you're going to run out of transmission fluid pretty quickly. And if you don't have the stuff to do a patch on that, you're going to be needing a tow. So my recommendation is going to be to install some extended bump stops like these before you off-road your Cherokee, and that will decrease the risk that you damage your oil pan or your transmission cooler lines. These are a 2-inch extended bump stop. So now with the bump stops installed, they just push in and some weight on them. We can see back in there that now the upper control arm is at a much safer, better position, further away from the oil pan and the transmission cooler lines.